Um, yeah, we want to hear about it. We love to support fellow monks projects. So I'll um I'll leave it over to you. Yeah, I'll tell. Can you give us a rundown what Sinbin is all about?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I'm not going to be able to share the screen, which is fine, only because I've had to, go to my phone and, I don't want to be fumbling around. But long story short, Sinbin is a project based off of previous, relationships I've had established before I became, an NFT obsessed person about the end of September of 2021. Uh, so I work with a lot of athletes. It's kind of I've owned my own business for about a decade. Uh, I'm 39, so from 18 to 28, I worked at CBS News, and then I quit and basically went into opening my own business in New York City, and then basically scaled it up, became very niche, and then since then, just kind of developed a very good rapport, being a jack of all trades to some extent, but my primary focus is at handling players' estates. So Sinbin is basically the brainchild of all of my experience in the NFT space, coupled with what I felt sports were lacking in terms of NFTs in general. So it's really fan based. So the idea is really to create the opportunity for fans, particularly of the NHL, to basically have access to some of the best players in a capacity that they would never be able to without having the connections that I have, and in particular, alterno management. So I work with a lot of different agents, and I have good relationships with several. But I went with Peter Wallen, who is the CEO of Alterno Management, because I have a great relationship with him, but also all of the guys that are some of my clients as well in a different business, but all of the guys he represents as an NHLPA agent. So in the last 3 years, two of his players have won the Stanley Cups, one being the captain of the Colorado Avalanche, Gabriel Landeskog, and then the other one being Victor Hedman, who's a Hall of Famer, top 10 defenseman of all time in the NHL, going all the way back to Bobby Orr. So um, these guys are on board. Matter of fact, today, Victor and Peter did a podcast on dropping the gloves, which is a so our objective and my objective this whole time was really to step out of the NFT world and get people who don't know anything about NFTs into NFTs. So to just keep it to your question as far as what it is, it's basically a fan driven NFT project with some of the best intellectual property from the league, and then we got a bunch of cool stuff that's happening for fans within it.
Yes, that's a good answer. How does your project work? How does the Sinbin NFT work?
All right, so you mint a Simbin, so we call it the Simbin Club, but you mint one of the NFTs and you become part of the club, and it'll give you benefits that include uh, in real life experiences, like basically being open to a continuous waterfall of in real life experiences, digital uh, collectibles, physical collectibles, and pretty much everything that you would think of being as a fan, like cool. You could get an aspect of that. So, an example, of an in real life experience on October 7th, the San Jose Sharks are going to be in Prague. So, one of the issues I noticed with NFTs, for example, and it just happened, wasn't, I would say, like, oh, I'm going to go out and fix this pain point. But one thing I noticed was a lot of the utility for in real life experiences was United States based. So, alterno management and also hockey being an international sport, and alterno management having offices both in Sweden and in Washington, D.C., because the NHL now is doing a global series internationally, that first game, October 7th, as long as as long as you're in the area, we're not paying for hotel, we're not paying for um, plane fare. But if you're in the area, if you're in Europe, you get to the game, you could go to the morning skate. You can meet Mario Ferraro. He's one of our guys from San Jose. You go to lunch with Peter or Martin, who is the NHLPA, agent that represents them. You come back for the game in the suite. You watch the game. You meet the general manager who's in town for the Sharks at that game, and then after the game, you meet Mario and you get a few signed jerseys. So we're going to be able to do that for every Global Series game. We're going to be able to do that for the All-Star games. I mean, every single event, and we could really do a lot of impromptu stuff, but basically every single player is going to have that option a few times where, so essentially the way that I designed this is we have 11 players and there's going to be, and this number is kind of subject to change based upon our demand going into the mint, which we intend to do before October 7th, obviously. Thrasher and Byte.io are actually doing the smart contract. So, we're working together to kind of figure out the best time, but it's either going to be the end of September or early October. But basically, we have, let's just say, 950 NFTs per city. So basically, we have 11 guys that are active members. If they're not first round draft picks, they're currently superstars. So they're all either up and coming or they're already very established. Within the total club, there's 950 allocated to each city, and a player represents each city. So you have 950 in San Jose. Mario Ferraro represents San Jose. As far as memorabilia, collectibles, when you go up for raffles, that's all going to be Mario Ferraro stuff that you have the opportunity to get. In terms of going for VIP experiences and games, depending on what it is, if it's something, for example, like seeing the banner rose at the Colorado Avalanche opening game, which is a very good experience that fans like, and meeting Gabriel Landeskog, right? That might be opened up to the whole community. But the idea is to make the raffles and giveaways specific to the city which the player represents. And then at the same time, there's going to be things layered on top that will be more broad and that don't necessarily touch the individual player, but will be just really insane experiences like the All-Star game, like I said, or the Winter Classic event that will just be raffles and giveaways opened up to the entire community. So you're going to be in a club with an NHL player, and you're going to be one of 950 saying that one NFT per, person. But we all know that most people will mint more than one. But the idea is to make this club essentially the club of NHL players.
Wonderful. You've kind of just touched on the next point I had. But I'll ask the question anyways and see if you want to give any more details. So, what benefits do people get they become a part of the Sinbin Club by minting one of you guys' NFTs?
Yeah, so the first the main benefit I would say is you're part of a hockey community. One thing that I noticed that especially in the current market that we're in is, and this is just from my perspective, right? You look at a group like what we have here at the Monks that you all have created, and it's very strong. People are here to show up, and there's a ton of value, and there's no, it's work. Like you're learning stuff. It's a place to grow and so forth. But you come here in order to learn, and that's the expectation, and it's fulfilled. And I know the guys that are putting it together, like Henry and you're putting in work in order to create that kind of value. In my experience, there's not a ton of NFTs outside of, the handful where you see a continual approach to it, where it's a business or that it's actual work. So what I'm getting at is I feel like you need an underlying uh, ish component that has to be more than what the floor price is, and that's why my mission became more driven to get hockey fans that are not in NFTs, because at the highest, when NFTs were trading and we had 450,000 active NFT traders, there was an 85 million viewership and a $5 billion business of the NHL that was being untapped, you know? So as far as I feel, the strongest thing that we are trying to build is a community. And I went to Instagram in order to grow this because I felt that Twitter, for flipping NFTs and being in the NFT space, it's crucial. But if you want to get people who are less anonymous, and if you also, with the players that we have, want to get people who follow them and really build off of the concept of having hockey be the focus, um, I had to go there. And by going there, I learned basically how to build a community. And I think when it really comes down to it, people want to laugh, people want to bust chops, people want to root for their team, and people will come back. And if we make an NFT $200 and we tie it to somebody like Victor Hedman, who's going to be one of the greatest, and it already is, he's going to have 600 points next season, for example, the first Swedish person to do it in the last 20 years, tied to 950 NFTs, you would assume that there's going to be some value to that, especially when the NHL releases their deal with Sweet.io that's coming in December. And especially since we see, NFL All Day coming, and DraftKings just released Rainmakers. So my main focus, honestly, is to create a community, and I feel like that's number one. But some people may turn around and be like, "Yeah, but I don't really need that." So then, what else? Well, outside of a genuine community, you're going to be in a group where it's going to be athletes that are going to be engaging with the community on a sincere level, meaning that we actually have them. It's not a project where Floyd Mayweather comes in and puts his name on something and runs away. I, you know, I just, I'm working right now on getting us on Spitting Chicklets. They want us. I'm just coordinating it with Vic. Vic today did a podcast on Dropping the Gloves that's being released tonight. So Spitting Chicklets is the hockey arm of Barstool Sports. So um, my point of mentioning that is that it's not easy to get a guy like that to do that. But because I have the relationship with his agent, and because I have the relationships that I have within the hockey league, you know, we can do that. So I feel like the idea of a person being able to who's a fan of hockey, to be able to put that on their notch of fandom. Oh, I'm in the Sinbin group, I feel, is one thing. And then as far as dollars and cents are concerned, it's just it's a constant waterfall of raffles, giveaways, uh, to VIP experiences, like I said, to in-game use memorabilia and collectibles. And then we also have a sandbox metaverse that is over 50% completed. That's what I was going to show you guys. But basically, this translates into the metaverse. So in the metaverse, we have clubhouses that I kind of designed like Manhattan. Well, they designed it, but the concept was to be kind of like Manhattan. So they're vertical clubhouses, and they're for each city. So San Jose has their own clubhouse and so forth. And then in the center of, the city, I have a central park area where we're going to have watch parties during the season. So the idea is to allow people who maybe are a fan of a team that aren't located in that city, maybe they moved or whatever, to have some type of an extension to be able to enjoy the game with like-minded fans. And yeah, I mean, I think once we mint out, um, then I feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunity for us to make better deals with sponsors and so forth, because of the contacts that we have. like an advisor on the project is the senior director of marketing and advertising for the NHL. And once we mint out, and once this is no longer like something that we're kicking around, but whether it's 1,000, whether it's 3,000, whether it's 5,000 mints, whatever it is, once we do that, we have the chops to kind of go to Main Street and start telling people, hey, why don't you come in at the base of one of our clubhouses and we can start making some deals to really help benefit the overall value for holders. So really, and I guess in a way, the benefit of a holder is just being kind of with movers and shakers in the league, and at the same time being able to put their hat on a particular player in a particular city, that as that player goes and gets better, you would assume the value of the NFT tied to them would also go up in value.
Perfect. Just briefly said how many you guys might mint. Do you have a rough idea of a cap or a number of mints
You know,
that's going to be?
I've toyed around with a lot of different ideas on it, right? Because obviously the lower you go, the easier it is to mint out. It just really depends on the demand that we get going into, the mint. Everything is going to be divisible by 10. So originally when this idea was created, we were going to have 1,000 mints per city. And obviously the market tanked. I mean, not obviously, but at the time, this is before Luna blew up, and things adjusted, and the meta in the NFT space went very free. You had a couple free here and there, but then it just basically went exclusive free. And then, that's when I had to more or less remove myself and start building outside of the NFT space, uh, to just kind of align myself more with the Tom Brady and the autograph and DraftKings. So it's weird. It's like in the NFT space, it seems like things are not moving unless it's free. But Rainmakers for DraftKings sold roughly 4,000 mints instantly at $300 a pop on August 15th. NFL All Day just opened up their entire marketplace, and they're banging it out. The season just started, and people are happy, to be basically in the swing of things. Tom Brady had a little bit of an issue minting on September 8th, but I feel like they were charging $750, and it didn't have as many things going on. It was one city, Tampa, it was one person, Tom Brady. So, it's hard to say because, we just did a podcast, like I said, today, that's going to reach 500,000 people tonight, if not tomorrow. And then we also have, one lined up that's the largest hockey podcast, period. So it really depends on how many people we get. But no matter what, the absolute most that any club, individual city will have, in terms of NFTs for Sinbin 1.0 is going to be less than 1,000. So it may add up to a larger number, but as far as it goes for, the scarcity factor of your particular city, because everything is very, autonomous within this, because Victor Hedman, again, using him versus, let's say, Lucas Carlson, who just signed a 2-year, two-way contract, the demand for those two guys are going to be different. So even if you're a Florida Panthers fan where Lucas Carlson plays, but if you pull a Victor Hedman, then in some regard, you have a real life rarity system. And that's really what I wanted. So there's a lot of thoughts going on, but as far as it goes with the absolute count per city, it'll never be over 1,000 per city, and it'll be below 1,000 per city.
Okay, cool. And are you going to be minting like one city at a time, sort of thing? Is it like V1,
Mm-mm.
V2, all
No,
together?
no, all together, because so we have guys that we're going to have in Sinbin 2.0. These players have friends, obviously, and they have friends. Like, anecdotal story, on Sunday, I met up with Jesper Boquist to film him. I just had my iPhone in this little gimbal because like I said, for 10 years, 18 to 28, I worked at CBS News. And I was actually, at the later half of it, I was actually a video editor for the CBS News, and I was going to work for CBS Sports. So anyway, I know how to do all of that stuff. So I went to meet up with Jesper Boquist, and another one of my guys, who's a client of mine, Nico. He's the captain of the New Jersey Devils. He was the number one pick, I think, in 2017. Just called him and said, "Hey, listen, do you mind? It's raining outside. Can we just do this in the back room and like the amenity area?" So he came down and was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I explained to him a little bit because we're friends more so. I didn't want to sell him on it, but the reality is like if this is a success, which we anticipate it to be, there's going to be multiple mints, Sinbin 2.0, Sinbin 3.0. Not only just that, but Alterno Management, they have 5 guys that went through the NHL draft this year. A couple of them are top picks. One of them at the New York Islanders and the other one at the Carolina Hurricanes. So we actually have like a solid stable of dudes to do more mints with. But for this core mint here, it's only going to be those 11 cities, unless Gabe wants to jump in more active, then we'll bump it up to 12. Right now, he's just being more of a passive partner in it. But the idea is, if you're, again, a Columbus fan, let's say, and you're more concerned about getting the free stuff and meeting Adam Boquist, who's he just signed a 4-year deal for around $12 million. The idea is like if you mint a Marcus Pettersson, who's a good player in the NHL, or a Victor Hedman, there's a rarity to that you might not even say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to actually hold on to that because it's autographed by them. And then at the same time, I'm going to just buy a secondary one for Columbus. So that way I have the benefits. So that's why we're going to do it all at the same time. And we're not also going to give people the opportunity to, mint per city.
All right, beautiful. And it sounds like you're going to have a lot of hockey fans wanting to get in on this as well. And a lot of them won't be in the crypto or NFT space. How are you guys going to sort of work around that? Not everyone knows how to have a MetaMask and all of that stuff. Do you guys have something in place?
Yeah, exactly. We do. And that's where Thrasher comes into play. So Byte.io right now is we're going to have this rolled out. You're going to be able to mint on chain with credit card. No crypto necessary. So like Nifty Gateway, for example, they essentially hold it, and they don't even really mint it until you want to move it. When you mint on Byte.io, you're literally minting on chain with credit card. So we wanted to make this. It's absolutely crucial for us to give people the whole passover of MetaMask and buying Ethereum and just being able straight to go to credit card.
That's handy. Okay, so before you mentioned about Sandbox, the metaverse land, I know a lot of people in here already know what Sandbox and Decentraland and all of that is, but for the people who don't, want to just touch on that?
Yeah. Like, so Sandbox, in my way that I kind of look at it, is Magic Kingdom. Disney World is the umbrella for the metaverse, and Sandbox is Magic Kingdom. It's like one park within the metaverse, but probably the most well-known park of the metaverse. You also have Decentraland, which I would say is Epcot Center. So there are multiple, sub metaverses, and in terms of looking at the metaverse in general. But Sandbox is more like a Minecraft, Roblox type layout, and that's where all of the intellectual property, from my vantage point, was going. Personally, I don't like that kind of looking of a game. On the other hand, the idea that kind of sprung to me, 9 months ago when I was, coming up with this idea of speaking to some of my guys about the NFT, it was a video game that I played growing up, which was NHL '93 on Sega Genesis, and it was just a fun game. And basically, Sandbox has the same bit rate, I think, to recreate that. So we have a hockey game that you would have been able to see if I was able to share my screen. That's already made, and but it's not player versus player. So the idea is that within Sandbox 1.0, which I think we're at like 0.65, when version 1.0 was released, player versus player capability is going to be allowed. And at that point, I want to, just for fun, it's not the basis of the project, but for fun in the metaverse, San Jose, the different cities are going to play each other in a tournament. And then, the winning team or the winning city gets something. But in particular, they're going to play within each city to get to the best person of each city. And then that person. So basically, you'll have a tournament of San Jose within San Jose, and then a tournament of Columbus within Columbus. And then when you melt it down to the best players representing each city, then we'll have a tournament amongst the best of each city. And then the one player who wins that gets a prize. And then the city that, in total gets a prize. So the longer term vision is to create a tournament structure using the Sandbox's video game. And I think that they have the bit rate and will at that time to accommodate the simple kind of game that I'm thinking of. But the main reason we went in there again is the intellectual property between Snoop Dogg, Avenged Sevenfold, the band. I've been talking with M Shadows. We have a concert area in our metaverse where you're going to be doing the watch parties. But I would love Avenged Sevenfold to perform in there. Slipknot, the Knot verse is in there. Tony Hawk, countless intellectual property. So I felt like that was the way for us to go.
Fantastic. And besides the game, do you guys plan to do? You've touched on it a little bit, but is there anything else that's going to be inside your sandbox land?
It's really yeah, well, I'll be honest with you. I'm trying to get, I mean, it's not even a bad thing to say because it's whatever, but I'm trying to connect with DraftKings to open up gambling in there. That's my goal right now, and I'm making my inroads to do that. So ideally, it would be cool for people to be able, so a watch party, they have them here for hockey. Basically, if your team is playing and it's the playoffs and they're playing an away game, the stadium for the away team, that they're not playing in that stadium, they normally do like 1,000 or 1,200 person, what they call watch party in the parking lot or within the stadium itself. And, it's kind of a cool way for people to utilize the space. We want to create those watch parties in the metaverse. And a goal of mine is to get DraftKings in there so people can gamble on the game while they're in there. But I mean, so it's not like a utility. It's not something guaranteed. The minimum that people are going to be able to do is congregate. The minimum people are going to be able to do is have those watch parties. Again, going back to the community concept. And then occasionally we're going to have events in there. Players are going to be in there occasionally. And then you have the hockey mini game going on. And, basically it's just a place to go and chill,
Um, in mint question mark.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just saying when is your mint?
So the mint is really going to be, it's either because, we had just a merge that concluded basically today. So we were waiting for that to happen. So we're looking to mint absolutely before October 7th, more likely the end of September.
Um, what players do you guys have signed up so far for the project?
So out of Tampa, we got Victor Hedman. We have out of Toronto, Timothy Lilligren. Out of Washington, D.C., we got Eric Gustafson. Out of Columbus, Ohio, we got Adam Boquist. Out of New Jersey, we got Jesper Boquist, his brother. Out of Edmonton, we got Matthias Janmark. Out of Florida, we got Lucas Carlson. Out of Pittsburgh, we got Marcus Pettersson. Out of Buffalo, we got Rasmus Asplund. Just thinking off the top of my head here. Out of San Jose, we have Mario Ferraro. Out of Anaheim, we have Isaac Lundstrom. Uh, and like I said, Gabriel Landeskog out of Colorado. He's just been really busy. EA Sports just released a video of him yesterday, like holding the cup. I don't know. He might even be on the cover of the game this year, but there's a good feeling. And he's, like I said, going to be a passive member in real life experiences. Go meet him in Colorado, and his jerseys, like him and Gabe and Vic, sorry, are giving me a bunch of equipment from the Stanley Cup Finals to give to people as just a giveaway. Um, so he's kind of on the fence, but I should have named 12 there.
No worries. I've only got one final question for you. So, oh no, I don't. I've got a couple. But what's in it for the players that you guys have teamed up with? Are they getting something from this? Are they doing it
Well,
for
the
love
players
or?
are partners. Yeah, the players are partners. So they're directly part of the team. And so there's a monetary component, just to be transparent. And then also it's their brand, you know. So, Isaac Lundstrom from Anaheim is a gamer. I didn't even have to explain to him what Discord was. Mario Ferraro, he has a YouTube channel, Tech something or other. So a lot of these guys, outside of being on the ice, they're like us in the sense. I mean, of course, they're all like us, but I mean, as far as their hobbies are concerned, they like video games, or they like, um, you know, certain music, or they use YouTube or whatever. But so there's a component for them because they're in such kind of demand in a lot of ways from their city that they don't really get to um, express themselves in a concentrated manner. So from my point of view, as far as the benefit of the players are concerned, is if you take a guy representing Buffalo like Rasmus Asplund, he just signed the 2-year deal, whatever it is, 4 million, 2 million each year. He's a very bright up and comer, and the people of Buffalo love him. He's not at a level where Gabe or Vic are, even Marcus. Marcus, for example, in Pittsburgh, he's on the cusp. He has a $40 million deal, but he doesn't have a $70 million deal. So the point is like when these guys are in a position where they get to be the number one NHL NFT project hitting the market before the NHL, and they're doing it legitimately, not through Dapper Labs, not on Flow, not in a Web 2, disguised as a Web 3 type platform, legitimately on chain, doing it for the reason the blockchain was created. And then at the same time, basically getting right to where I find the crux of NFTs are, which is the capability of building community, right? They're just prime for it. So they're coming in not really knowing it, but they're open to it. Vic today on the podcast and Peter today on the podcast, because I'm in the shadows when it comes to kind of like the appearance on the outside, because I'm just behind the shadows on it. They're the notoriety. They read my entire list of kind of what to say, but they're game. They want to read it. They want to learn about it. You know what I mean? So for them, to me, it's really a matter of them becoming the brand. Capabilities for them is greater, right? I mean, think about why a guy comes to New York City versus going to like Cleveland, or why LeBron James went to Miami, but New York was on the table, but he kind of snuffed Cleveland when that whole thing went down, right? You can make a lot more money in New York City than you can in Cleveland. I feel because of the way that the NFT space is here, we're having a conversation right now where we're going to hit the market before the NHL, and the NHL is coming. They're coming in December, but the bottom line is that it's kind of a weird time. So they're going to be ahead of it. I think for them, it's an incredible business opportunity to build their brand and open themselves up for more business opportunities, you know?
Perfect. And I've got one question left. Do you guys have a set mint price yet, or is that still being
We're
discussed?
fluctuating. It's probably going to be around $200. You know, the whole idea is to make it that the average hockey fan and the average person isn't paying thousands of dollars or like Tom Brady $750 to get in. We want to make it reasonable. So, you know, again, we haven't established that, but we're tongue in cheek talking around 200.
Your mic cut out there for a little bit. I could just barely hear you, but I could make out what you were saying. $200. I want
Two
to make
hundred
it
dollars
reasonable.
roughly.
Perfect. There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
All right, cool. That's pretty much all the questions I have for you. Does anyone have anything to ask Time to Live regarding the project? Or do you have anything else to add, Time to Live?
No, that's really it. Thank you guys so much for your time. I mean, I see you all sitting in here, and I know it's 9:30 at night, so just want to let you know. Thank you so much. I do have a couple of things that we're going to be hitting. We were on Sirius XM, the NHL network, last week. Uh, so this week, like I said, we have this big podcast that we were on called "Dropping the Gloves." If you guys want to listen to that, Peter and Victor go into detail with the host, this guy John Hurst, who is a former NHL player, very big following. And then knock on wood, we're going to be on Spitting Chicklets, which is about a 3, 4, 5 million viewership, and that would be good. So if you guys want to catch us on there, you can too. If you want to follow us, you can follow us at Sinbin Club on Instagram. Like I said, I don't really do too much on Twitter. I'm very removed in that regard of what goes on in the NFT space. But what's nice is we have a solid following on Instagram, and that's where the players are, and they're all real people, no bots, and it's all hockey heads. So you could totally check us out over there, and we're posting every day.
Something's just popped up in my mind then. So how do people get whitelists for the project, or is it a public only, or what's the story?
I mean, I could give everybody here whitelist. The idea is anybody who listened that could give whitelist, give whitelist out. There's a sign up form on our site that you could go to. So if you go to sinbin.io and you just click, sign up, excuse me, like I said, it's not like we're not doing a pre-mint. Not I'm really going away from that. So the idea is just sign up. We're going to catch all of the emails. I'll have instructions for you. Once Byte basically gives me the layout in terms of like we run our demo and how the website's going to be, where somebody goes, and it's as easy as that. If we end up getting to the number, where we have to start making the white list because we're kind of getting an influx of inbound people, then we'll just do that. Anybody who from this call sends an email, or I'll touch base with you if you want me to take a screenshot, whatever it is. I could give everybody here whitelist. That's no problem. In my mind, the way I kind of see it is we're going to end up doing some type of a launch party system, and my goal is to skip Discord. So I feel like with all of the scams going on, me bringing in my following from Instagram right now would be like bringing somebody into Times Square in the 80s, like from Idaho, right? It's dangerous. So I don't think the average hockey fan is even going to give a crap about Discord. But if they mint the NFT, and in order for them to get the benefits, then they'll sign up in Discord. So the idea is to really let them be motivated by the use case. So we're jumping Discord in general. So I have a Discord, but the idea is I'm going straight from Instagram right to Mint, and then directing people at that point into Discord. Yeah.
Beautiful. I'll just ask again, does anyone have any questions for Spin to Live? If not, then I'll just say thanks for coming, and thanks for letting us know about what's going on in your project. And I'm gonna send you a screenshot of everyone that's in here so we can get those whitelists over to them. Yeah, thanks very much for your time today.
Oh yeah, my pleasure, man. Thank you so much. And I'm a monk, and like I really appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.
Beautiful. And with that being said, everyone, yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Hope everyone has a good day. The next events that we actually have is Monk's Poker. So there's no events tomorrow except for the Trees and Clouds and Splinterland scrums. So yeah, hope everyone has a good weekend, and we will see you on at Monk's Games Poker on Sunday.